I'm David Fleming from the Disciples Ignited YouTube channel, where we're focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom and preparing his disciples. Now, we've been studying the parable of the persistent widow. And the reason that I stopped our study on the book of Romans for just this week was because the Lord spoke to me and showed me that this lesson that we learn from the parable of the persistent widow is something that we are all going to need in these troublesome times that we are living in. In fact, I believe that it is the key, at least for my life, that I'm going to have to implement in my life every single day if I am going to be successful in and thrive in these times that we are going to be living in. And you know, as we close up the teaching on the parable of the persistent widow, we find that Jesus ends this teaching with a question that really at first doesn't seem to fit in with what he has been teaching. And this is just like Jesus. As you'll read many of his parables, many of his teachings, he injects something in there that at first doesn't really seem to fit with the whole parable or the whole teaching itself. And this is one of those cases. But if you'll look at it and dig into it and seek the Lord, you'll find that it has very much something to do with what he is saying to us. So what is this that I'm talking about that Jesus asked? Well, he says, after he's taught this whole parable about this a widow dealing with injustice and this unjust judge that she's having to deal with, then Jesus asked, when the Son of Man comes, he find faith on the earth. Now, when you look at that, you think, well, what does it have to do with prayer? And what does it have to do with Jesus teaching that we must pray and never give up? Well, I believe that as we dig into it with an open heart, we'll find that this widow that we've already studied about in the previous videos, she represents us who are weak, and it seems like we have no strength in us before men. And we're dealing with injustice, and we can't find justice. We can't be granted justice, and we're pleading for it. And that tells me that maybe in the times that we're going to be living in, we're going to be living in a time of great injustice, and people will be crying out for justice, and they can't seem to find it. But what are we going to do? Are we going to pray and continue to persist in prayer? Are we going to see that our God, though he may be putting us off for a season, he will answer, and quickly, if we pray and never give up? But Jesus is telling us, you're going to have faith. And when he comes again, he's not coming to an earth that is going to be all pretty and nice and everything's righteous and holy. Oh no, the devil is going to be making a mess of things. But will he find his people full of faith, praying with persistence, knowing who their God is, knowing who they are in God's sight, and knowing what they must do? They must pray and keep on praying, never giving up. Now, we do ask the Lord a question every time. We say, Lord, when? But he asks us, will you have faith? He doesn't always tell us when. In fact, very seldom does he tell us when. At least not specifically. But he says, will you have faith? That's the question that we need to answer, and answer seriously. We'll see you tomorrow.